Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss about educational planning. This is our main theme, and this is lecture number 9. In this lecture we will study about introduction about the main theme, aims and objectives of education, approaches to educational planning, interests of educational planning, and types of educational planning. In introduction, we can say that education is considered as the central preoccupation of every nation. So, these education plans can be carried out with the maximum success if they are based on the changing needs of the country. We should know that education planning always depends on the changing condition of the country. Like, if the needs are going to be changed, then education planning are being implemented as per needs of the country. The main concern of education planning that is linked with the planners, experts, authorities, or bureaucracy, because they are to administer the education services into the whole country. And remember that it should always be in the hand of education leaders who are professionally sound, and they are well trained and experts into their fields. We may say that planning, this is a process for achieving a specific developmental goals of life of a country. And the process of education planning, that includes an analysis of the present situation and forecasts for future. In the same way, educational planning should aim at the development of education as well as the drawing up of state, regional, district, and institutional plans. So, the plans, whatever we make in educational planning, so those must be intelligently linked and match the needs and resources. The planning process always should aim surveying the requirements of training manpower in the employment market as well. Educational planning is also be considered as the continuous systematic process which involves the planning of educational system, its curriculum, instructions, its expansion, improvement, the balance of its different parts, and its administrative services. In aims and objectives of education planning, we can say that the first question, like, what is the purpose of education? So this must be understood, that what is the purpose of education, or what does it aim to achieve, like what are the aims that we have to achieve. So every education planning or policy, so those policies are considered by keeping these questions into the minds at some stage or other. So the aim of education, those are determined by the nation political, social, economical, psychological, and pedagogical needs. So if the expert knows that what are the political, what are the social, what are the economical, what are the psychological and pedagogical needs, so we are to achieve the aims of education. So many basic concerns of education, they have persisted throughout the countries, but in the course of time different aspects have been stressed. For example, educational aims were for a long time often essentially social, patriotic, and ideological nature, which emphasized the function of education as a preserver and transmitter of cultural heritage. In aims of and objectives of educational planning, more we can say that later emphasis was laid on intellectual training, like primarily literacy, laterally scientific knowledge because an end in itself. So, a common idea which is prevailing nowadays is to link education to the national development. So, the training can be prepared, or you can say this is the preparation of the employment for life in its broad economic aspects, for cooperation in common endeavors and participation in the practices of democracy. So, education is what? This is increasingly being looked upon a specific means of changing, renewing, and even of challenging the established values. The emphasis is on educability and trainability rather than an instructions as such. Okay, next we can explain that as well as in the government policy statements, and as it is described in the textbook, one finds elaborate list of educational objectives which are you can say explained in a different ways, and they may be uh, different regarding the content, or you can say the emphasis. So here the three main aims of education uh, were embodied in one form or another. So what were those three aims? The first one was the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical development of the individual and his adjustment to society. It means that we are to develop our society mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, so that they may adjust themselves in society. The second aim, that is the economic viability of the individual. This is very important. Like everybody want to get money and they want to make them stable in respect of money. So that's why we can say that economic viability of the individual, this is also the second important aim of you can say education planning. The third aim that is the maintenance of cultural identity of the society. You know that every society must identify or must have some identification about their culture, so that we can you can say recognize ourselves with our cultures. One may classify these objectives of education into different groups, as we shall explain in the next. Now, first of all, political objectives of education. What does it mean? Political objectives of education means that we must have national integration and internationalism and equality of educational opportunities and the creation of trained manpower, because we have to provide the equal educational opportunities to all the people who are living in Pakistan. and the creation of trained manpower. This is very important, because if you have increased your students but if you don't have teachers, you don't have the trained manpowers, then how can we train our students well in manner? Then economic objectives of education. It means that national development and improvement of quality of life. We are to develop the quality of life. We are to improve, because if the quality of life is poor, it means there is no national development. Then social objectives of education. Social, we know that this is interaction of the people, and establishing a social welfare state providing security, full employment and social justice. By living in society, we have to interact with the other people, and when we interact with them, so we must have security, we must be able for full employment, and we are to provide social justice. Then creating a dynamic and constantly moving society. Dynamic, we are to create dynamic. Dynamic means that where we may bring the more good things with the time to time, and we are to move our society toward the better achievements. Then pedagogical objectives of education. Remember that always being a teacher, or you can say being a trainer, so we must provide the skills, new skills in educations. So it means that our teaching method must be improved. Harmonious development of the individual personality and capacity of his intellect, his emotions and his will. So harmonious development of individual personality, it means that you are to develop all aspects of the personality in a balanced way. It doesn't mean that only you emphasize on intellectual abilities, or you can say only on at one aspect, but we are to develop the individuals with the different aspects of their personality. The National Education Policy Commission, we can say, of the United States, they have examined that what are the purposes of education, and on their analysis they set four objectives. The first one, that is objectives of self realization, objectives of human relationship, objectives of economic efficiency, and objectives of civic responsibility. The objectives of self realization. The inquiring mind. The educated person has an appetite for learning. Like in speech, the educated person can speak well in mother tongue. He or she can read well in manner. They can write also in more effectively in mother tongue. They can calculate or count calculation problems, and regarding sight and hearing, always the educated person listens and observes carefully. And regarding health knowledge, educated persons keep aware about the health knowledge. And health habits, the educated person protects his own health and that of his dependents. Recreation means that always educated person is a participant and spectator in many sports and other pastimes. And in intellectual interest, the educated person has mental resources for the use of leisures. And in aesthetic interest, the educated person appreciates beauty. And character, they always remains responsible, and they have responsible direction to his own life. The second objective, that is objective of human relationships. In human relationships, an educated persons always have respect for humanity. They always enjoy the good relationships, good friendships, and always they remain rich, sincere, and varied social life. They always cooperate with one another, and the educated person observes amenities of the social behavior. Appreciation of the educated person appreciates the family as a home, means the social institutions. And conservation of the educated person, that is conserve family ideals, means the home. And in homemaking, the educated person always skilled for homemaking. Democracy in the educated person maintains democratic family. Objectives of economic efficiency, like the educated person know the satisfaction of good workmanship, and in occupation, the educated person produces understand the requirements, and in information and opportunities for various jobs. And in this sense, the educated persons decide his occupations in his own way as per his capabilities, and they work always efficiently, and they maintains and improves adjustment. In personal economics, educated persons plans the economics of his own life, and they always develop some standards for his expenditures, and he always remains an informed and skillful buyer. And this is just because of good educational planning and being an educated. The objectives of self civic responsibility, like social justice. Educated citizen is always sensitive to the disparities of human circumstances. In social activity, the educated citizen acts to correct unsatisfactory conditions. In social understanding, the educated citizens seeks to understand social structure and standing process. In critical judgment, the educated citizen has defenses against propaganda. Tolerance, this is very important, that educated citizens always respect the honest people and their opinions. Conservation means that educated citizen has a regard for the nation's resources. Then social application means that educated citizens measures scientific advance of science by its contribution to the general welfare. And world citizenship means that an educated person always remains in contact with the community of the whole world. And law observance means the educated citizens always respect the law. And educated person, that he or she always maintain his good economical knowledge. Educated citizenships accept the civic duties, and due to his devotion loyal to democracy, means democratic. Individual items in the tabulation will need amendment in respect of certain countries or region. So the socio-economic approach and value system embodied in them would be very different from those applicable to a country in the Asian region. So each culture has its own concept of an educated person. So one could summarize the various objectives of education in mainly three domains, and we all know that cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Cognitive totally deals with the thinking and knowledge. Affective totally deals with the feelings and emotions, attitudes, and psychomotor deals with the coordination of muscular movements. Whatever the emphasis may be, remember that the culture that an individual has at a particular time lays on any of them. The principal goal in education is to achieve a balanced development of individuals in all three areas, and the educator's concern is with the development of total personality. So, there is a need to identify on a working basis comprehensive set of national objectives of education, which is an important prerequisite to educational planning. In objectives of civic responsibility, we can say that the comprehensiveness of objectives which education is expected to achieve has brought about three major changes in our concept of education. So, education cannot be confined to one particular stage in human life. The nature and range of objectives demand that it should be a lifelong pursuit. So, achievement of these goals must range from the cradle to grave. And we must note it that the concept of learning society and enunciated by the UNESCO International Commission for Education in its report Learning to Be. Moreover, the school or other formal educational institutions, they are not only a means available to for providing education and to achieve these objectives. In fact, these institutions are not efficient enough for some of the objectives. So, alternative of the schools and educational institutions have to be evolved. Studying or divorced from the working is not the only way of learning. So, working as much or even more effective as a method of learning. So, education must therefore combine study and work at every level right through life in order to ensure optimum learning opportunities. Now, there are some approaches to educational planning. So, what are approaches? Like educational planning till recently has been undertaken as a separate exercise having no substantial link with planning in other socio-economic sectors. And first linkage that took place in financial context. So, it was found necessary to reconcile expenditure on education with outlays in our sectors. So, educationists found themselves forced to demonstrate that education was not only a consumption commodity, rather, it has presented an investment or pre investment which is vital for economic development. The economists, on their part, began to take interest in education and conducted basic studies on the economic role of education. Moreover, we can say that the first indication of link, which is in between education and economy, that was a result of attempts to match training facilities to the forecast of manpower requirements of the various sectors of economy. Later, more comprehensive approaches, those were evolved to adopt education to the general development. So, education plans, those were thought out and prepared in conjunction with the other planning activities also. So, some of the most familiar approaches, those are as described. So, planners have developed formal methodologies for planning. So, the three most common methodologies are the social demand approach, the manpower requirement approach, and the rate of return approach. First of all, we see that the social demand methodology. What does it mean? It means that this aims at planning education to meet the demand of society. So, what are the demands of society for education? Then, what are the good in itself, and what are the requirement by individuals? So, if we adopt this methodology, so educational institutions and facilities that will be located wherever they are needed. So, societies where this approach is used, they mostly means aims at social equality or cultural or the spread of an ideology, or those means those political leaders especially who have respect for public demand. Then this demand requires a rational method of location and distribution of educational facilities, so that they will be respect the population distribution, because if we know that the population of this area is how much, then we can say that we can distribute our resources as per their locations. So this methodology emphasizes suitable distribution, most of the universalization of some levels of education. So the problem with this methodology is that it is easily gives rise to over expansion, poor family facilities, irrelevant curricular, and consequently poor quality. The social demand approach that requires a rational method of location and distribution of education facilities with all respect as per the population distribution. The problem with this methodology is that it easily gives rise to over expansion, poor facilities, irrelevant curricular, and consequently poor quality. The main, this is third approach, the main power requirement methodology. It means that the focus of this approach, that is on the objectives of using education for producing the required main power for development. So this approach involves the different methods to forecast or project the numbers, types, levels, and distribution of main power, so that education plans, content, and programs should focus on those identified main power needs. So some of the method used, those included the employer's opinion method, by which employers furnish data on their main power needs for the future, as these figures are used to project the main power requirements by levels or skills. The incremental labor output ratio method, by this method a fixed relationship is assumed to exist between the increment of the certain category of labor. High or middle level, and the growth of output of an economic sector or national income. And the international comparison method that involves using data or equations based on other developed and developing countries to forecast the main power requirements in another country by processes of analogy or the Harbison's rules of thumb. So that an increase of 1% in normal output, that should be accomplished by the increase of 2% in the senior and 3% in the international main power. Then density ratio method, this is the estimation of stable ratio between the different categories of main power. The rate of returns methodology. In this methodology, it attempts to determine the private and public cost of education, that may be of the different types, that may involve different levels, and by highlighting the benefits and returns to each such education. In this methodology, education is essentially an investment, which, like other investment, that should be capable of yielding some profits over time. So after discounting or adjusting for unemployment, wastage ability variables, and labor force participation. So the problem with this methodology is that most of the effects or benefits of the education are changes in values, attitudes, and other spillover effects are not amenable to precise computations. In most of the developing countries, the tendency has been to adopt different methods at different times and for different levels depending on the imperative need of society. Thus, many such countries may be said to be using synthetic approach. Then come to the unit cost, means what is the average total or unit cost is there, and equality and disparity issues. It involves access to the educational system, that may be by age, that may be by sex, that sex means gender, means male or female, and that may be due to the geographical distribution. And sixth is organizational structures, means the flow of communication that remains along with the distribution of power, authority and functions. And in demographic factors involves age, sex, gender, means geographical distribution, population dynamics, migrations. Political factors involves political commitment, policy and administrative support. External efficiency, that involves relevance and responsiveness. And occupational needs means what are the present and future needs, and that should be focused according to their various levels of education and as per different sectors of economy. So what is educational planning? That is the interest of education planning. In interest of education planning, we see that first of all, what is educational planning means, like this is a process by preparing a set of decisions about education enterprise in such a way that the goals and purpose of education will be sufficiently realized in future with the available resources, whatever you have resources in hand. So education planning is not a panacea for the actual or imagined ills of the educational system. So its focus is only on the application of rational systematic analysis of educational production functions with the view of suggesting or deciding what actions or measures would make the production of education more efficient and effective, while considering the nature of goals of the society and the students, the available resources and the time or periods in view. So educational planning is a continuous process of obtaining and analyzing facts and from empirical base of providing information to decision makers on how well the educated system is accomplishing its goals, in particular on how the cost effectiveness of education programs and specific projects can be improved. So the major interest of education plannings includes some of the points like preparation of alternative decisions. Alternative decision means that you must have some alternative decisions in case of facing any problems. So these decisions are primarily aimed at helping policymakers and executors to make rational choices and should take steps that could be more effective for education. The second, that is goals and objectives. This means what we desire as outputs are results from the educational process, which ultimately becomes the most fundamental areas of all subject matters. The third one is that is programs and services. It means that how we can organize different activities and supportive services to such activities. Then human resources are there, like how can we help and improve the performance, interactions, specialization, their behavior, their competence, their growth and their satisfaction. In physical resources, this is also one of the interest of education planning, because we need education facilities available or plan their patterns of distributions, or how the extensive should we get, and what utility value do the resources possesses, especially with relation to other physical resources. Finance is also very important. Finance means that what is the cost or expenditure and how we can plan for revenue, which shape in large measures the characters of how we utilize human and physical resources of the education system. In governmental structures, we see that how do we organize and manage the operations and controls of educational programs and activities in response to the political conditions, provisions and creed. Then social context is there. In social context, we see that what are the elements and resources that must be considered in educational system, which in reality is only the miniature social system that includes various elements of entire social system of any nation or community. So the education plans are best seen as adjunct of overall national plans. In interest of education planning, we can say that planning that may be national, that may be local, that may be on institution level, and the basic purpose is to influence the future by taking logical predetermined actions in the present through designing different methods, through different strategies and approaches to assist that institutions or organizations in accomplishing desired objectives. So more specifically, the education planning has its focus on to formulate simplicity or explicit a system, wise philosophy, goals and objectives for the systems and for the requirements, and for examining the alternatives in establishment of the priorities and provision of communication and information retrieval. So analyzing the resources, evaluation of the attainment of objectives, and should view these in terms of the future. Contingents on adequate education plans are the factors of time, cost and the abilities of the planners. Then what are the types of educational planning? In types of educational planning, we can say that imperative or centralized planning. It means the planning which is done at the federal level or by central body like planning commissions of the government, that is called imperative planning. The targets and resources for the completion of plans are allocating by the federal government. So the implementers are the provincial authority. The second type is indicative planning or local level planning. It means this is done at local level and you can say at the grassroots level of the society. It involves the local people for determining their priorities. They always prepare the projects with the help of experts, and then funds are being allocated for the completion of these local projects. And Pakistan has shared different types of such projects of planning with the district NOZIMs of the concerned areas. The third one is that is sectoral planning. In this type, each sector separately prepared their project, then funds are allocated to the Secretary of Department of Implementation of the projects. Then at all levels, department ministries they remained busy to complete the development activities. So lesser cooperation among the departments was there, and every department determines its own priority. So this type of planning covers all areas of the country, and the pace of development in this type of planning was or you can say looking very slow. And in integrated planning, this is fourth type. Integrated planning means that a pilot area is selected, means a particular or specific area for planning that was selected, and all department then concentrate on the development of a specific area, and they prepare projects according to the needs of that area, and funds are then approved through responsible agencies for its implementations. So in this way, the development of this area with all facilities are being provided. So wherever the weakness is found, so the needy areas ignored and their turns comes after a long time. This was all about this lecture, where we have covered different topics, and inshallah in the next lecture we will cover more about the main theme. So if you didn't subscribe my channel, please subscribe it. And also, if you want to study in Urdu, so the links are given. The all material is available in Urdu, so you can study from there also. So if you have any query, questions, you can comment in the comment sections of this video. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.